Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Have you ever imagined visiting a place where just being there puts your life at risk? We're not talking about a horror movie, but real places on our planet where nature and humans have made these regions practically impossible to survive in. Today, we're going to talk about some of these locations that are so dangerous that after learning about them, you'll think twice before planning a trip there. Let's start with a very famous place, the Death Road in Bolivia. The Death Road is a narrow highway that climbs up a huge mountain, reaching 4,651 meters in height. That's already terrifying, but the worst part is that on one side of the road, there's a giant cliff, and on the other side, there's only a small barrier, if you can even call it a barrier. So, if the car loses control, the fall could be fatal. Also, because the road is so narrow, two cars can't pass each other in many spots, and often they have to drive right on the edge of the cliff for the other car to pass. No wonder over 200 people were dying every year on this road in the 90s. The good news is that in 2006, Bolivia built a new and safer road, but still some brave drivers insist on going through it, even knowing the risks. Think about what it would be like to drive on such a dangerous road. I wouldn't take that risk. But of course, let's not forget that while you're comfortably watching this video, and I hope you're enjoying it, you're safe, far away from these crazy places. Now, let's move on to another mysterious, but even scarier place. Did you know there are caves so hot they could actually cook you alive? Yep, the Crystal Cave in Mexico is one of those caves. It's located 300 meters beneath the Earth's surface, and inside it, you'll find giant selenite crystals that are so big you can actually walk inside them. But here's the catch. The temperature inside the cave can reach 45 degrees Celsius. And the humidity? It's almost 100%. This means you would sweat so much that your body couldn't cool down, and in less than 10 minutes, the extreme heat could cause organ failure. That's why only scientists with special suits can stay there for over an hour, and even they take huge risks. I know many of you love adventures, and of course, everyone has dreamed of exploring incredible places, right? But sometimes, it's better to admire them from a distance and leave the adrenaline for those who are well prepared. So, what do you think? Would you have the courage to visit the Death Road or the Crystal Cave? Let us know in the comments. Now, picture a place so beautiful, full of giant crystals, but at the same time, so deadly that you wouldn't be able to stay more than a few minutes there without putting yourself at risk. This happens in the Crystal Cave, located 300 meters below the Earth's surface in Mexico. When you think of a cave, you might picture dark, damp rock formations, but this cave is different. It's bright, filled with selenite crystals that are so huge they can reach up to 12 meters tall and weigh 55,000 kilograms. These crystals were formed over thousands of years by minerals and water that cooled and turned into these impressive shapes. But here's the big problem. The temperature and humidity inside are so extreme that the cave is more dangerous than you might think. The temperature can reach up to 45 degrees Celsius, which is already pretty hot. But the worst part is the humidity, which is 99%. This means the air is so saturated with water vapor that your body's sweat can't evaporate and you get much hotter. This makes survival extremely difficult. To give you an idea, without a special suit, you wouldn't be able to stay more than 10 minutes without the risk of overheating and even experiencing organ failure. It's like being trapped inside a super hot sauna, but with no way to cool down. And the only ones who can visit the cave are scientists, who use cooling equipment to withstand the unbearable conditions inside. They can only stay for about an hour, and even then, it's a huge physical effort. So if you were thinking of going there to snap a selfie with the crystals, you'd better rethink that. I know that for many, the temptation to explore such a fascinating place might be strong. But the lesson here is that nature has its own limits, and sometimes it's just not worth challenging those limits. Can you imagine being in the scientist's shoes, needing to wear a cooling suit just to survive? Maybe it's safer to admire the cave from a distance, don't you think? And what would you think about exploring this place? Do the beauty of the crystals make it worth the risk of facing such extreme temperatures? What if I told you that there's a place in Brazil where if you step foot on it, you run the risk of being bitten by one of the most venomous snakes in the world? This place is Queimada Grande Island, also known as Snake Island. Located off the coast of Sao Paulo, this island is a real nightmare for anyone who's afraid of snakes. Snake Island is home to around 4,000 deadly snakes, all of them from the species Bothrops insularis, also known as the island pit viper, which is one of the most dangerous snakes in Latin America. These snakes have such potent venom that if they bite someone, it can cause severe tissue damage and even kill the victim within hours. Their venom contains hemotoxins that destroy red blood cells and liquefy the flesh. It's no wonder this island has earned the reputation of being one of the most dangerous places on the planet. Even if you're not afraid of snakes, the risk of being bitten in such a small, isolated place is huge. The history of Snake Island is quite interesting. It was once part of the mainland, but thousands of years ago, as the sea levels rose, it became separated. Without natural predators and with plenty of seabirds to feast on, the snakes began to thrive uncontrollably. It's estimated that there's one snake for every square meter of the island. This means that, wherever you walked, you'd be just a few steps away from one of these deadly creatures. Because of the extreme danger, the Brazilian Navy has prohibited public visits to the island, allowing only scientists with special permits to step foot on that land. This is not just a precautionary measure. It's a matter of saving lives. If you've ever dreamed of visiting Snake Island, you'd better think twice because the risk is real and very high. Another of the world's most dangerous places is in the United States, where the heat is so intense that it can fry an egg on the ground. This place is Death Valley, in California, one of the most extreme and inhospitable deserts on the planet. The temperature there can exceed 56 degrees Celsius, making it one of the hottest places on Earth. It's like being inside a giant furnace, with the air so hot it feels like it will melt your skin. But the heat isn't the only problem. Death Valley is also home to dangerous animals like rattlesnakes, scorpions, black widow spiders, and even mountain lions. These predators are part of the local ecosystem and are always on the lookout for food, which means you have to stay alert with every step you take. In addition, the desert terrain is full of natural traps, like slippery rocks and hidden holes, which could easily cause you to trip or get hurt. And don't fool yourself into thinking you can cool off with water from a stream or lake. Water is extremely scarce, and dehydration is a constant risk for anyone venturing there. Without proper supplies, you could suffer from heat stroke and even die from thirst or exhaustion. Tourists who visit the area without proper preparation often face serious health issues due to the intense heat and lack of shade. But if you think this is enough to scare away adventurers, you're wrong. Despite all the difficulties, Death Valley is a popular tourist destination for those seeking the thrill of being in one of the hottest and driest places on Earth. The attraction is so great that in some parts of the desert, visitors can even see warning signs about the risk of burns from the ground. The ground can heat up to 94 degrees Celsius, enough to cause third-degree burns in a matter of seconds, as happened to a tourist in 2017 who was hospitalized after walking barefoot there. So, if you decide to visit Death Valley, you'd better be well prepared. Bring plenty of water, wear proper heat-resistant clothing, and, most importantly, keep your shoes on. Surviving there is no joke, and those who aren't careful could end up becoming part of the place's history. What do you think of this deadly desert? Could you handle the heat and the dangers of Death Valley? Let us know in the comments if you'd have the courage to face this adventure. And finally, Lake Karachay in Russia is considered one of the most dangerous places on the planet, and for a very serious reason: radiation. For many years, the Soviet Union used this lake as a dumping ground for nuclear waste from its military facilities and power plants. The result? A lake contaminated with lethal radiation, capable of killing anyone in a matter of minutes. The radiation in Lake Karachay is so intense that if you stay near its waters for just a few minutes, you could suffer from fatal diseases like cancer and leukemia. To give you an idea of how dangerous it is, even a small patch of land around the lake can cause health damage in a short amount of time. And don't think the water is beautiful or a tourist attraction. It's a symbol of the environmental disaster caused by human irresponsibility. Although the lake has been closed to the public, the radiation doesn't disappear over time. Despite attempts to decontaminate the area, it's impossible to guarantee the place is safe for any type of visit. Furthermore, many underground rivers are contaminated, meaning the pollution could have spread over a much larger area, affecting the environment and nearby communities. People living near Lake Karachay face serious risks, not just from the water, but also from radioactive clouds that can be carried by the wind, reaching even distant cities. In addition, the contaminated soil and the radiation in the region make it impossible for any agricultural activity or sustainable development. For those used to seeing images of calm lakes, Karachay looks nothing like that. It's a monument to the negative impact of pollution and nuclear testing. If you thought a lake's water could only be refreshing or relaxing, Lake Karachay is a warning that behind natural beauty can hide a deadly danger. It's not worth risking your life out of mere curiosity, as any proximity could be fatal. So, the next time you hear about a beautiful lake, remember that not all of them are as harmless as they seem. Well, folks, we've come to the end of another video full of incredible and dangerous places that are definitely not for the faint of heart. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future videos. Stay safe, and see you next time.